Hello there. Today we're talking about why does dating work for others but not me? That's a question that sometimes I Thanks Tim for rubbing it in. Rubbing in your marriage in my face.
And all the fruits of marriage.
All the fruits of marriage. Anyway, sometimes I wonder to myself, why does dating work for some people but not others? Why is it so hard to get a date? I don't know. Let's jump right into this. Well, welcome back to thoughtraid, a show where we take on thoughts and find better ways of thinking about them. I'm Brandon, this is Tim, and today is Get Naked Monday, where we metaphorically get naked and talk about why we can't get dates. I can't get dates. You got dates and got married.
I can't get dates anymore either, man. I'm in the same boat.
I gotta figure this out, okay? Unfortunately, how you can't get him either.
I mean, I was in the same boat at one point.
Poor you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about me and my problems.
As a single white man in North Carolina, in the north.
Why must you wipe my race in my face? That was really hard to say.
Why must I white your face in your race?
I don't know. Anyways, welcome. So actually, believe it or not, this was not a topic that I originally came up with. This is all him. And I think this kind of came out of a conversation that you had with somebody.
Well, it came out of a couple conversations. My wife Ariane went on a friend excursion. I guess that's what she hung out with somebody, and they were just asking how she and I got together, and they made the comment, "Oh, you guys are so good together," and just asking questions about how we met and whatnot, and it just got me thinking about relationships and all my relationships in the past, or my dating relationships, and why they didn't work, or like what was wrong with them. The common denominator was me, obviously. But now I'm married, and we frequently get, "Oh, you guys are so good together. How did this happen?" And then you start going, like you were talking about earlier, going in the formulaic process of, okay, what do I need to change? What formula, what process can I follow that's going to make me successful in that? But then somebody today texted me something about flirting, and it just got my mind racing even more. And the comment was, taking a moment to pull it up. The working definition of flirting, noun. The act of expressing directional or intentional interest or excitement. And then this person was like, thinking of a concept synonym, new friend making. And if you go back to our stream where we had Chelsea Cordell with us talking about the correlation between intimacy and commitment, we were talking about how the dating world is a slight step above the friendship world, right? But talking about flirting, you can flirt with death. You can flirt with, I don't know, getting a degree or something, but you can also flirt with friends. And I just think about what that's like for me and what that was like in the dating arena. But Brandon, are you a flirty person?
I don't know. I don't particularly feel like a flirty person, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But maybe that's because I don't really pay attention to my ways of flirting. When I do, I do. Maybe I need to be more self-conscious if I'm flirting or not.
Do you have a specific strut, Brandon? Is there some airs that you put on when you're trying to flirt with somebody?
Some airs?
What does it look like for you?
When I'm trying... Well, I mean, I guess maybe the only way that I can think of it is, like, what am I trying to do to impress a person? Mm-hmm. Maybe that has to do with flirting. What do I do extra that I would do for someone I'm trying to impress that I've never met before, that I may not do for a person I have met and I'm comfortable with? I don't know. But if that's the way to look at it, then I guess... Oh, gosh. Flirting involves extra attention given to a person, which is not something that someone always wants right away.
Especially if you're a creeper or something, or you're just not their type.
Yeah.
That's another thing, man. Dating, everybody has this conception of what their type is, and That's the weird thing, like when me and Ariane got together, I didn't think she was my type. Like when I first met her, she was not on the radar. Sure, I thought she was pretty, but she wasn't within the top 15 people that I was like, this could be a thing.
But I definitely don't compliment someone if I don't mean it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not like the kind of person that just tickles your ears and tells you exactly what you want to hear, so you'll be swooned with how great I am. I don't do that. But I will definitely lay on my best attributes, like attentiveness. I do genuinely find a lot of things I like about a person, so I'll zero in on the thing that I truly do like about them and then compliment them on that. Mm-hmm. And I do take interest in what they do, but that doesn't necessarily feel like flirting, to be honest. Flirting in my mind is more related to obsessive compliments given to a person. Well,
let's actually look at it. So I want us to go into our history of dating and our stories and stuff, because once again, if you guys have not watched Thought Raid in the past, or if you're new, Brandon came from a history of being a Christian. I came from a history of not being a Christian. And every relationship I had, except for one, was from my pre-Christian self.
Real quick, Seth saying, Brown, in what ways have you tried getting into a relationship recently? Maybe fellows in chat might be able to relate with your methods. What ways have I tried to get into a relationship recently?
You just go up to women and rub your scent on them?
No. That's weird. No.
I mark you in my name.
I mark you in my name. I'm trying to think between the last girl that I actually successfully dated and the girls that I've been interested in as of late. I don't know. Again, I think the common denominator is just taking interest in them. Also, I try to be strong. If I find that they're interested in me, then I switch to this strong rock type of attitude. Being there for them, being the hero.
That for everybody though. You're frequently my hero.
Oh jeez, Tim. But
I just fall to the wayside.
Oh,
back of my hand on my forehead. Brandon lifts me up with his strong arms.
With my strong arms.
Chest hair coming out of his shirt.
Wow.
White privilege showing.
At the white privilege. My God. Anyways, but no, I'm trying to think of the last time, at least with the girl that actually was interested in me as well, and we went into a relationship. I remember in the very beginning, we found our connection point about Japan, and then and I found I started to understand her sense of humor, so I would send her memes according to that, and I would say goofy things to her, and when she was going through things, I would be there for her. So that's I feel like maybe that's the flirting aspect of it. So I do that. Seth saying you attract girls by being a rock. Yes, particularly granite. I don't know. I mean, it's good to be a rock in your faith, but a girl might need more than just a rock. I mean, yes, I suppose so. I do have a funny side, but it depends on how confident I'm feeling.
Talking about that, in my early 20s, actually in my 20s mostly, I always tried to be the rock too, because if you guys didn't know me back then, I was in the mode of making money and making a household and trying to become better than I was, because I didn't like who I was. And whenever I would engage, I think in all of my 20s I dated 2 people, maybe 3 people, including Ariane. There was this one girl, I'm not going to name her name because it's irrelevant. But yeah, I tried to be that rock too. I remember taking her to my Amway meetings, trying to see if she would be a good fit, because that's where I was going, right? I would always pay for things. I remember my most recent girlfriend, the one that Seth actually knows, her car battery died one day, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to buy another car battery. I'm going to take the old one out, put it in. Her father saw me do it. I was like, That's right. You know, and I was that rock, and that was really cool. And that being the provider made me feel really good.
Yeah, I mean, equally, my strong suit may not necessarily be what you just described, but like when it comes to like being there for when you're going through an emotionally hard time, like that's my strong suit. That's where I shine the most, and I also will sacrifice for a person that I'm flirting with my time, energy, interest in certain things, whatever. Like, I don't mind doing that. If I find you already interesting, I'll do it. So there's that. So maybe that's what you would call flirting. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily, again, feel like flirting. It didn't feel like the flirt option on The Sims.
I remember, man, the first time I played a dude sim, obviously, and there was this other dude sim that walks up, and if you guys have never played The Sims, when you engage with somebody, you have all these options, like high five or welcome or whatever.
You have, well, at least the most where you got friendly, romantic, goofy, angry, something else.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, homosexuality in Sims was not even on my radar, but I was like, what would happen if I did, like, romantic? I was like, no, I think I even did friendly. And I was like, hey. And the guy had little, like, hearts above his head. He was like, hey. I was like, oh my gosh, that's not what I was looking for.
This is not what I want.
It's not the response I wanted.
I didn't want this. I feel that we as men know our worth when it comes to providing. What we fail to do is truly value what we provide.
Oh gosh.
Hello.
Oh. So, I'm going to jump ahead since Seth said that. And Seth, I think you met Ariane once or twice. But we were talking about our first date the other day. And I've had a lot of first dates in my life, like especially in my mid to late teens. I dated a lot. I was always going out with girls. And I always wanted to be something I wasn't because I lived in a mobile home that was not taken care of really well. I mean, I was also one of the people that was not taking care of it. I was not taught financial intelligence. I mean, there was just a lot of stuff that I was way behind on, you know? And so I tried to be a lot more than I was in a way that wasn't healthy. That was I couldn't maintain that. You know, if it ever got beyond the flirting stage, I couldn't maintain the product I was advertising, if that makes sense. You know? But when I started dating Ariane, our first date before we were even, official boyfriend and girlfriend, we just went out and I wasn't really trying to make anything of it. You know, I was just like, well, I've done this my entire life. It's not worked. Trying to be something I'm not has not worked. And I honestly didn't like it because, yeah, I could pick up any girl I wanted pretty much. Like I had that confidence, which is weird because I didn't have a lot of self-esteem, but I had the confidence, if that makes sense. But in this situation, I was like, you know what? I've given it all to God. You know, I'm pursuing Jesus now, and I know that Jesus loves me, especially in my weaknesses and all the stuff behind closed doors and addictions and whatever, you know. And if this is a symbol of love, let me risk that. And let me pursue that in an actual relationship. So our first date, I remember we were walking around town, Bailey Park, downtown Winston. We went to, what is it, Foothills Brewing Company? Foothills? Yeah, Foothills. It's like a bar and restaurant all in one. But we went there and it was pretty cool. And then we walked downtown. And I remember, like, one of the main conversations, I just randomly brought up, hey, I'm kind of navigating an addiction to pornography. I'm trying to get out of it. And she would ask me questions about it. And, fast forward a couple nights ago, she said, the thing that drew me to you was your honesty about where you were at and your authenticity about how you were navigating it. Not all the other stuff you brought to the table, because I did not bring a lot to the table, you know? And I just think that's really cool. And it's strange. Like, if you have somebody that actually is going to choose you in a relationship, it flips the expectations of the world on its head. You know, I mean, that's what Jesus does in the first place. But,
right.
Dating was weird, man. Like, I remember my parents teaching me that concept. You know, pursue somebody that's going to love you for you and not for what you don't have. For some reason, I bucked that my entire life. and I felt like I was trying to be all sorts of things.
And lo and behold, here's the very thing you needed the whole time.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, I often wonder what it would be like if I was in the dating world again.
Well, I feel like the experiences you had growing up seem to suggest contrary to what they said. So it would be obvious why you wouldn't think that was a good idea until later. Because, like, you know, you went through the whole thing of people, like, talking bad about you the minute you were on the phone. Like, of course, that's going to send a signal of you're only as valuable as you are able to provide or whatever, like, because you're, I guess they were richer kids or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, like, that, of course, would play into that. It would make it very hard to believe it after experiencing that. So you have to, like, weed through that crap.
Yeah, but the term in the Christian community that we're in is it's thrown around frequently, ninja dating.
Oh, boy.
Ninja dating is when you pursue somebody without clear expectation. And you had a very recent situation where you were very clear about something. What was the... And we're not going to say who she is.
No.
And anyway, but what was the response?
Well,
like, would you just talk about that? Because I think it's really important, because it is appalling how little, how infrequently this transpires. And how commonplace the opposite of it is. But anyways,
so there was a girl that I was really interested in at church, and I've come a long ways in confidence in approaching women, because I used to think that it was like all or nothing. We're either cordial and it's great, you know, from a distance, fine, whatever, or we're heading towards marriage. There was no chill in my life. And hello there, good to see you, Bryce. And that was not healthy. And so I then began to realize that I could be friends with women that I was attracted to, and what an amazing, you know, realization that was. That took a lot of pressure off of me. So after realizing that over the years, and after especially the last girl that I guess you could say successfully dated, because something did become out of my attempts.
I think successfully dating is marriage, right?
Well, I guess so, but like in comparison to what I've been experiencing up until that point of like we weren't even getting into a date. Like I feel like that, you know, it was progress.
Yeah, well, I mean that's a concept I've always wondered, like, how do you successfully navigate marriage or dating? Does it always end in marriage? Does it? Because for some people it ends in sex.
And that's
their idea of success.
I would not consider that to be successful dating, ironically.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
But anyways, so, you know, I've grown in confidence, and so now I'm at a place where, you know, if I'm interested in a girl, I'm going to ask her out and just, you know, see if we could, you know, go to some basic place, some coffee shop or something, so I can get to see her apart from who she is in front of people. You know, could we gel together? Like, you know, maybe she's a person who's, you know, really into sports or something, and I'm not, but maybe when she's not around other people, she has a more of a calm side to her, whatever. So this girl that I was interested in, I reached out to her and I just asked her, like, hey, would you be interested in going out? Like, at first I said, I was like, this is not easy for me, because it wasn't. But I asked her, would you be interested in, you know, going and getting some coffee with me or something? And she wasn't able to respond in the moment, because she just had some things she had to process through, and the answer wasn't yes. She wanted to figure out a good way of saying that and to respect my upfrontness. But she said in her response that, like, you know, a lot of guys aren't as upfront with her, and I was like, why not? Because, you know, like, she was a very attractive woman, and like I would imagine many guys would try to ask her out on dates, you know. And she's not just attractive physically, but she also has a really great, you know, who she is seems strong and a lot of great attributes you'd want to have in a relationship. And but her response was, a lot of guys were like, they were like trying to ask her out with roundabout ways without being direct. Like they would try to work towards a date without calling it a date, and then when she said no, they would pretend like that never happened, and then they just gone. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, and to be honest, up until she mentioned that, there was a part of me that thought maybe that's like, because I don't want to just put pressure on the person to think that this date is going to immediately mean something, because it might not. So
well, that's a really good point, because I think, especially in the Christian world, if you go on a date with somebody, you're getting married. So there's tons of pressure, it feels like.
And I don't want that, because that's not good for her, that's not good for me, that's not realistic expectations I've learned over the years. Let me just take a second here.
And Bryce said something earlier too. I don't know why it's not showing up.
What is? It's just over here. Give Brando some credit for getting a date.
Hey!
The time will come. Anyways, and Seth's saying, having a successful breakup taught me the most. One that ended with a peaceful understanding resolution. I was afraid of the dramatic crazing endings. Christian dating has a lot of pressure on it for sure. And that's how, unfortunately, my last successful dating relationship went. Like, honestly, I feel like the other person could have handled it better. After experiencing 2 rejections as of recent from some girls that I was interested in, and just how well they handle it, like, they didn't make it awkward at all. Like, they could have been awkward. It could have been awkward after telling them that I was interested in them, and then they could have, like, vaguely avoided me and stuff. But they're like, completely comfortable around me, and that just blew my mind because of how things ended last. Like, there's no absolute reason that you should just immediately be weird around someone because they're interested in you.
I don't know, man. Like, when I was in the dating world, especially in school, when you would ask somebody out and they would say no. Because I remember there was this girl, it was like 7th grade. And if you guys went to public school, you remember the gymnasium dances, right? They just shut the school down like after hours, like 6 o'clock or something. They would play music. You'd be there with your button-down shirt and your jeans and doing the little sway back and forth.
That sounds like a prom.
Kind of. But this was Davie County. Anyways, like, I had my buddy ask this girl out, and she said no, and I was really confused. I was like, what do you mean no? And I ran back there. I didn't run. I went back to where she was sitting down with some other people. I was like, I had my buddy ask you out, and he said that you said no. I'm really confused. Why would you say no? Most people say yes. Right? And that made it super weird. Then there was this other girl that I really, really liked in 8th grade, and everybody knew that I liked her. She knew that I liked her, but there was never any, like, declaration, yes or no. Do you want to go out with me? No, I don't. There was no closure. And so I remember, man, we were doing something in social studies, Mr. Carruthers' class, 7th grade. This was 7th grade. And we were putting something on a wall, and I remember she was beside me, and my armpits got all sweaty. And, like, everybody kept looking back, like, seeing what was going on. And I don't know. I feel like I made her nervous because it was undeclared. Like, hey, do you like me, whatever, just because I was being kind of a coward.
Obviously, like, putting yourself out there and then that being rejected is going to be hard. I'm just learning in this current phase that it doesn't have to, when the rejection happens, both parties don't have to be awkward about it.
You don't have to, but that's a natural thing.
It is natural. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with you if it is awkward. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I have now learned it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It can be smooth if the other person understands and you understand. It could be completely smooth and without a hitch.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, there's this other person that I was in communication with the other day. And their perspective is they were raised being taught, girls are supposed to play hard to get. Right? You're not just supposed to say yes or no and put your heart first and just be honest and authentic. You're supposed to play hard to get because guys want to pursue.
And that's generally true.
I mean, the secondary part of that's true. Playing hard to get, I get that, but at the same time I don't, because it's like you're playing with somebody's emotions, right, and you're not being honest. And
right. Like, I feel like there's a point where it can get out of hand, but in general, like, you don't... I'm not attracted to women that make it too easy. Like, whoa. Like, I don't... Nope. You're too easy. You're a refrigerator magnet.
Okay, so what if she's super attractive?
Yeah.
She has a really strong faith. She's very confident. She's responsible. She's everything you ever wanted. But she was like, hey, Brandon, I really like you. I want to spend time with you 3 nights this week. And...
I would have proceed with caution. Like, I mean... it's great. Like
which is weird, man. That's such like that makes me sad. That I get it. I get why you say that, but that makes me sad because it's like you have somebody that has all the value that you're after coming to you, seeing the same value in you, and also being upfront.
But here's the thing: I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying I would proceed with caution.
Yeah.
Because maybe she turns out that she's actually wonderful as she seems, like, and she breaks the mold. But the average woman that comes on clingy is not that. She like typically like there's some insecurity that she's trying to fill through me. And I'm not here to fill your insecurity, nor are you here to fill mine. Like,
do you think that's by and large how it is with women that are forward?
No, not by and large. Well, we're talking about, yes, by and large, yes. I feel like.
What about guys? Is the same true for them? Like, if the guy is like you were, hey, girl who I like, would you like to go out on a date with me? Oh man, he's being forward. I got to be on guard.
Well, I mean, I've definitely had some this is like the fact with the last two girls that I reached out to and told I was interested. It was the first time that like they were said no, but they took my forwardness as like the highest honor of like, wow, you think I'm attractive enough to reach out to me to say, would you be interested in going on a date? Like, I don't know. Like, I think in general, it's more the norm for the guy to be the one who initiates and the girl to be receptive to that, or to choose whether she wants or not, but not usually the one who goes out of way. I feel like a healthy man is going to take risks and put his emotions and his image on the line to reach out to a woman that he's attracted to. And I think a healthy woman is going to put herself out there, but not be the one doing the pursuing. I'm not saying that she doesn't I'm not saying that she is completely hard to get, because then that can turn into toxic, where it's like she's holding you on an arm's length and you're just there whenever she feels bad, or a situation where she's just clueless. I don't know, but at the same time, if she's constantly doing the initiating, that I feel like
not constantly. I mean, what if it's equal?
Well, but I'm saying like if she, okay, but yes, but like
Brennan, you're melting.
I'm just saying. At least for me, I would like to be the one to initiate, because that's challenge for me. I feel much more accomplished. I feel like I'm pushing myself outside my comfort zone to do that. It would be easier for me for her to come to me and like initiate, ironically. But then again, I'm not saying I'm against it. I've had a lot of girls initiate with me, and I've yet to find one that actually is solid. Some are attractive, some are not, but few are solid. The ones that I have, and I have put out the olive branch to the ones that I'm attracted to that initiated first, but like I don't know. My personal experiences has shown it doesn't work.
Okay, so let's go back to the title. What was it again?
Why can't I get a date? Why does dating work for others but not me?
Yeah, so why? This is the question that a lot of us ask, because if you have been in the dating scene for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, especially if you're like some of our friends in their late 30s and they're still single, wondering when things are going to happen. Because, man, I was in my late 20s wondering if it was going to happen. I was really skeptical because I'm like, man, like, coming from my background of not being good enough, quote unquote, I always thought, I've been in so many relationships and none of these are working. The common denominator is me. Why does it seem like everybody that I went to school with is having kids? They're buying homes. They're getting, married. They're doing all these things. And I'm just sitting here twiddling my thumbs thinking, man, I can't even clean my dishes. I can't even keep my bank account in the positive. So why does dating work for others and not me? Man, whenever I asked that question, I always thought I must be super messed up. There must be something wrong with me because it's just not working.
And not always is that the case. Yeah. I mean, I don't know just how much toxic Christian culture placated my generation and slightly thereafter with books such as I Kissed Dating Goodbye. But there was definitely a toxic disease going around the Christian community that made dating into some kind of weird thing, and I think it probably affected women more than it affected men. But it's like, what I wonder some days, like, what exactly are you expecting when I reach out to you for a date? Are you thinking that, like, I'm immediately want to jump into marriage or something, or into your pants? Because that's not the case. Like, I just want to get to know who you are and see, do we gel well outside of a social setting where we're in a group? Like, I want to know, are you constantly active, or do you like Netflix and chill? Like, I know.
I like Netflix and chill.
I know.
So real quick, guys.
You'd be perfect for me.
If I was a woman, or if you were, and I wasn't married. But if you guys are watching this stream, if you haven't already done so, hit the like button and subscribe. Mm-hmm. And if you're watching on Facebook, hit the like and follow so you get future notifications. But I want to ask you a question. When it comes to dating, what are your expectations for the first date? What are your expectations for the second date? How do you expect it to go? What things are you looking for? Do you immediately write somebody off if it's a yes or a no? Do you have a list of check marks or whatever, and you're like, okay, they fit this. No, I got to keep going. What does that look like for you guys? I'm really curious.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know in the chat. Let us know whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. I know you're watching. We'd love to hear. And if you just so happen to come upon this video after we're live, let us know in the comments, because we'll read those and we'll see what your answers are, and we might talk about it in the next Thought Raid too. Mm-hmm. But let us know. We're listening. We're listening.
Well, let me ask you this, Brandon. When you engaged, because I know that you've been very forward, especially lately, trying to date women about what you think, what you feel, what you want. What are your expectations?
Like, so specifically, like, what am I expecting the first date to look like?
Or what are you expecting if it was going to go, if she was going to say yes, what do you expect? And if she was going to say no, what do you expect? Well, going into it knowing, hey, I like you, I want to date you. What are you expecting for her to do in both those situations, yes and no?
I mean, if she says yes, I'd love to just, meet up with her somewhere that's not a group setting. Like, group settings are nice, but I have, like, a lot of the girls that I have reached out to, I've seen in group settings. I would like to know what you're like apart from everyone watching you, and you have expectations put on you to be one way or another.
Maybe she wants to meet in a group because you look threatening, man. Maybe just shave the beard or something.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I should just do away with beards for a while. Just maybe. But I would love to just meet up at like a coffee shop, someplace neutral, easy, we're not on some alone date or anything by any means. And that we just have a chance to I want to know, is she able to keep up a conversation with me, or is we having a hard time finding things to talk about? Because that's important, because that tells me that either we just don't have anything in common, or she doesn't know, maybe she's not interested. Because usually if someone's not interested in me, they don't have anything to say. Like, they're just, I don't know. So I don't want to, I can do a lot of talking. I don't want to do all the talking. My job is 90% talking. Like, I would like to not talk. Like, it's funny, like they say that women do more talking than men. I feel like I'm the rare occasion where I do more talking than women. I'd like to shut up and listen about your life, So I'd expect that she'd have things to talk about. I would love, that we would have topics about not the deepest of things, but more important things about, like, your viewpoints on the Bible and what do you view about certain things with that, or certain morality points that are very important. Like, I gotta be up in front and honest about what is your viewpoints on homosexuality. Because of what I've dealt with, I don't want to go and date someone who thinks it's okay. I don't need that in my life. I want someone who knows what the Word of God says and has a strong point on that. But if she's not interested, my hopes, I'm not expecting this, but my hopes is that we would be able to, within a short amount of time, a couple weeks to a month, just work through the awkwardness of saying no, and then be able to just be around each other in group settings and be, not just cordial, but friendly and stuff. And then I'd be able, this one of the girls that I liked and said she was, no, I can give her a hug. I can talk to her about stuff. She doesn't make it weird. I not make it weird. She said, no, I'm good. We're good. So, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We got Zach here. He said, great stuff, guys. Keep it coming. First date is to find out compatibility. 100% agree. Not every first date is to be so deep right away, in my humble opinion. Enjoy it. And he says, Bryce says, I think from my perspective on first date is this. Do you want the night to end? Interesting. Do we have nothing coming in from Facebook? But yeah.
I'm just thinking about dates and stuff. I remember when I first came into our young adults group when I was a little baby Christian.
A wee little Christian.
Pitter-patter, a little 10 feet. It was like a smorgasbord coming in here, man. There were all these attractive girls that were on fire for God and that just seemed like very good people. And I didn't know which way. It's like the Lord saying, take your pick, And I reached out to a couple of them. I remember I reached out to one and she gave me the "you may not pass" on Facebook. Didn't even get to a first date. The other one, we went out and then she was like, yeah, actually I just want to see you in a group setting. And, then Ariane happened down the road, and then she was like, yeah, let's, well, actually, no, she said no initially. Then we dated for a little bit. Then she broke up with me for like 2 weeks or something, or a month, and then we got back together and then got engaged a couple months after that. That was a roller coaster, but I'm just thinking, like, especially when you know the person's good and they're attractive, it's like, why wouldn't you even give them the chance? This is my frustration. If you are a woman and you're watching this and you're wondering why guys don't pursue you, or why guys don't, as Brandon did, just come out and say, hey, would you like to go out with me? Why guys do all this subversive sneaking around ninja dating type thing? Hey, you want to hang out? You want to get coffee instead of I'd like to take you on a date? It's really tough. It is extremely tough to get in the front door, and it's like a lot of the times when you try to get in the front door, and that's not a sexual thing. Double entendre.
No.
I'm just talking like get alone with a person to get to know them.
Right.
There have been many guys in our group that have been considered, or just in life, not just in our group, just guys I've talked to, where it's like, oh, he's being so intentional with all these girls and asking all these girls out, and the guy's a player. It's like, no, man, he's just trying to figure out, first of all, what he likes. Because you don't know. It's like going to different restaurants. You got to try them, right? You can have a concept of what you like, but until you actually engage with it, you don't know. And second of all, like, just being out there and playing the field. Like, what is so wrong with that? And what's so wrong with trying to engage with people? It's just, it blows my mind. And there's so much of this weird, like, social hurt that's associated with being upfront and honest and putting your heart out there. And I think that's why a lot of guys guard themselves and don't do as you're doing, because Brandon is a super resilient person. Like, there was a time where he even took my wife out for Chipotle. You remember that?
I do!
Yeah, he asked Ariane out initially, and she was like, I'm just not feeling it. And then I ended up marrying her. And I can only imagine how weird that felt, you know?
It was weird, but see, that's another thing I appreciate about your wife, is that after a bit, I was able to be around her, and she didn't make it awkward. Like, you don't have to make it awkward. Like, it's not easy, but you don't have to make it this weird thing where now you're avoiding the guy, because if he doesn't have a good support group, if he doesn't know God well like I do, like, it's really hard. It
brushes his shoulder.
Well, but honestly, and I'm not being prideful, I'm just being realistic. I have a good support group, and I have a very good relationship with Christ that I'm always working on. So between you and my other friends and God and him working with me when I've been rejected, I have support to help me process through my emotions, because let's face it, reaching out for a girl to go on a date is scary. It's hard.
Oh, it's so scary, man.
Yes.
Even friendship, because we were talking initially on the stream about flirting, and flirting is basically toying with not toying with, whatever the definition was that I said. It's something like expressing interest with something in
a new friend or something.
New way.
Yeah,
I'm like, I flirt with people I want to be my friends a lot, and it's like, even that is scary. Just saying, hey, what's your number? Do you want to get lunch sometime? Because they could just be like,
or you're weird.
Look at this guy. Or they can give you the yeah, absolutely, and then just ghost your call.
Yeah.
Or let's look at that, and then they're just ambiguous and dry. It's like that hurts too, and that's also scary. I mean, that's kind of the same thing. Like all the ghost. Oh, I hate it so much.
Yeah.
I mean,
you have to pick yourself back up. With your friends, with God, and try again. Like that, you're just going to encounter rejection, and that's a part of the dating process of finding a date. Is just you're going to be told no, and they're going to have different reactions. Some women are going to handle it well, and it's going to be great, and some are not, and it's going to be awkward and hard, and that's why it's just, I know. From a woman's perspective, it may be tempting to believe that, like, oh, he's a player, like this is just easy for him. He gets with all the no. Like, I mean, there may be some guys that are just naturally more gifted at that, maybe. But, like, there's still just risk that's involved. Maybe that's why, like, some guys are really good with, like, getting a yes from multiple women, but then they never get deep.
Well, also, it was expressed to me, because I talked to some ladies about this and just picking their brains about it, and they said when a guy goes around and asks out multiple girls, it becomes less... oh gosh, how do they put it? It's not as valuable. They don't feel as appreciated. It's like, okay, so what about the 7 girls you asked out before me? I don't feel as special. Which, I mean, that makes sense too, but that puts all the more pressure on us to get it right.
That sounds more like an insecurity than it is a reality, though. Like, if that's you, if you ever come across this, you're a woman and you think like that, like, that does not mean that the guy coming to you finds you any less valuable than the other girls that he went out and reached to. Maybe there are some guys that are like that. I'm not saying this is the perfect case, but for at least a healthy guy's perspective, and it's just hard. And every time it doesn't like it becomes magically easier. Like your muscles, if you will, get stronger and you can do it more, but it didn't change the fact you still have resistance to work through.
Well, even beyond that, man, like there have been people that I've asked out and they said no. And then down the road, they find somebody and they're in a relationship and then engaged, they're married. And I'm like, okay, well, let me analyze myself compared to that guy. What was I missing that he apparently has? What was the secret sauce?
Yeah. And they have all the comparisons you have to work through and everything too when you try again. It takes a lot. Like, when I reach out to a girl and she says no, that's like a 2-3 week recovery time for me.
Yeah, the best one is I'm actually not looking to date anybody right now. 2 months later, in a relationship with.
Yeah, that's like another 2 or 3 weeks of recovery time for me. It's just like, what? What are you looking for? Like, the most frustrating thing for me, Tim, that I don't quite understand. We had a conversation that it made me so mad. Like,
when was this?
This was like earlier in the year. Maybe even like late last year. I don't remember exactly when. And you'd mentioned like some girl came to you and mentioned that like, Brandon, he has all the things, like, he's an amazing man of God and like, mature and all these things, but he's just a little too formal. I'm like, what are you looking for? Like, what the heck? Like, all these women, I hear them complain about, he just cheats on them, like, he's not faithful, blah, blah, blah. Like, hello. Behold, I am a man who is stable, who will love you for who you are, who will work with you through hard times. What are you doing?
I'm grabbing a note that's relevant.
What is it that you are looking for? I don't understand.
So, Brandon, I wrote this. I was reading a book titled Gaslighting. And it said, trying harder at something that doesn't work doesn't make it work. Being nice out of fear doesn't work. And taking responsibility for others doesn't work. The real issue is difficulty taking ownership of your own life. And I think that's a big thing. Because whether somebody says yes or no, it's all about taking ownership over how we respond to it, you know, because going back to the title, why does dating work for others but not me? It's one of those things where, I mean, that's a natural thing for people to think.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that too. And guess what? I'm married now. And I'm not throwing it in anybody's faces that's not married, but it's like I just didn't give up. And I realized I just had to keep going because this one where it said, trying harder at something that doesn't work doesn't make it work. That's why we see a lot of failed marriages. People are like, well, this is the closest thing I'm going to get. I'm going to settle. That's a much different perspective than, well, I understand that there's nobody out there that's going to check off every single box.
Right.
And if somebody checks off every single box, you got to be careful because nobody can maintain that.
Yeah.
But you just got to realize it's not an issue of just trying to make it work. It's an issue of finding somebody that has the core things that are good, that also like the core things about you, and it working, and you guys coming together saying, well, you know, you're messed up, you're broken, but what you're working with and where you're going is something I can join in on.
Yeah.
Because when Ariane and I had our first date and I told her about some of the things I was struggling with, she saw, okay, well, this guy's honest, he's authentic, and he's just trying to do something, right?
Yeah.
And she also thought I was pretty hot too, which is good. I thought she was hot as well. But, you know, she liked that about me and she loved me in my weakness, right?
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, I hate using this term, the stars align, but, you know, there's a season for everything, you know, and I think some people get disenamored because, like, we have a friend that is trying online dating and they recently paid for the ability to message in online dating. That just broke my heart. Because it's like the concept of dating in general, I feel like relationship is important and I feel like relationship is what we're designed for. Mm-hmm. But when we put that over on a pedestal over just doing life, following the purpose of our hearts, you know, that's where you find the person that is going to accompany you and is going to have grace for all your shortcomings. You know, you got to be following something greater than just the relationship you're questing after. And so dating apps, and maybe we should do a stream sometime on dating apps, yes or no.
Hey, if you're interested in that, let us know in the chat and comments, whether you're watching now or later.
Yeah.
We'll let them know that when the stars align. Ooh.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of relationships fall apart because the relationship was the idol instead of something that you guys were just that happened because you're both going in the same direction to somewhere.
Yeah, you don't want to idolize the relationship. The relationship is while the person can help you grow and you help them grow and stuff and things can be fixed, it's not a matter of the relationship in and of itself that's fixing them. That's you coming determined to continue to grow yourself in coming into that relationship and them deciding to do the same, and then God uses that. But don't idolize the relationship. My goal for finding someone to marry is not for someone to meet all my needs. Like, I'm not expecting that. I'm looking for someone who can partner with me in the direction that I'm headed. That I can love unconditionally and work with, and we work well together, that I can function with or without. And that's really hard. That's a hard place, I think, for a lot of people to get to, because there is a lot you do get out of relationships. So it's not like you're just completely 100% selfless. Like, but at the same time, like, that can't, you don't want to idolize it, because then you're putting that above God and above many other, and when you put anything above God, you're putting it above self-growth, you're putting it above other relationships, different things that just get messed up and weird.
Yeah, and, you know, aside on that too is the timeline factor, because as you get older, we not just we, but our environment starts telling us, hey man, your time's ticking. And it's even worse for women. Hey, those eggs are drying up. If you're gonna have a baby, you need to do it before you're 40. And then there's all this pressure put on it. And I was talking to a friend yesterday and the day before about relationships and whatnot, and they were talking about sex because they're waiting to have sex until they get married, and trying to navigate pornography and using that for self-fulfillment since they are waiting. And it's like, the question was posed to me, how do people do it, man? How do people get to a point where they are sexually pure until they get married? Because you never know when that is. I remember before I was married, even dating Ariane, I was like, when is marriage going to happen? Because I didn't have sex till I was married, and I satisfied myself with pornography thinking, well, initially I didn't think porn was bad. And then I got to a point where I realized that it was actually damaging me in certain ways. But I made a rationalization of it saying, well, I'm going to engage in pornography and use it to satisfy that physical need because myself for marriage, right? And I remember one time thinking, man, I'm going to have to do this forever because I don't know if I'm ever going to get married. Maybe I should just have sex with somebody and just whatever, because it's never going to, because that desperation and that doubt season is what a lot of people get into, and that's why they start thinking, why does it work for others but not me?
Mm-hmm. But it is possible, and to be honest, I'm still in the process of figuring out that exactly. It's not that I am not looking to porn as the solution to where I'm currently at. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, God has worked that through me. But I'm fully convinced the closest thing that I know to say, the way that gets fulfilled, is through love. Love covers a multitude of sin. I'm talking true, selfless, unconditional love. And the best source of love is Jesus. And I know that's a very cliche thing. I know. But as I have put Jesus first in my life, it has caused me to view people in the lens of unconditional love. And when you truly love people, it's a lot harder to sin. It's a lot harder to do things you shouldn't be doing, because along with the feeling of love is the feeling of you want to protect them. You want them to succeed in life and stuff. And so you gain fortitude against your carnal desires. I know that's another religious word, but your ego desires, thinking of a more psychological
it's
perspective.
One of those things, because we've been talking a lot about sanctification, and just reiterating sanctification is moving from what's unhealthy to healthy. And if that's your purpose, which is, where is that scripture that says, love God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, and love others as yourself? Is that Philippians?
Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind,
if you
soul.
Guys know, let me know in chat.
Love your neighbor.
But basically, that's like the commandment.
That's part of the 10 Commandments. The first is to love the Lord your God.
No, it's the newest. It's the one commandment.
That's the one that Jesus was like, all the laws of the prophets is summed up into those two things.
So, but loving God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, and loving others as you love yourself, the first two, that's sanctification. Yeah. Allowing God to say, hey, I love you, let me show you who you are. And then the process of loving yourself is allowing that to happen, right? And as we move from where we're at now to where that is fulfilled, which is a relationship with Jesus, that's what that is for those who don't know. It's saying, okay, well, here's where I'm at. And back then I had an addiction to pornography. I was not savvy with my money, or responsible is the word I'm looking for with my money. I was short-sighted. There were a lot of things I was working on, and I just included Ariane in that process, and that's what she was able to trust. Now, if my relationship with Ariane ever hit a rocky time, I don't find fulfillment in her. I find fulfillment, and I find that satisfaction in moving from being unsanctified to sanctified, which is being unhealthy to healthy, right? That's what I'm chasing. And she's doing the same thing. Like, I'll see her consciously making decisions to fix things about herself and not redesign, but renew different areas of herself. Everything from her temper, the way she responds to certain things that she actually says. And she doesn't have a temper. That's not who she is. But when she's pressed, sometimes those types of things come out. And because we're both doing that, we're both going in the same direction. And that's why our relationship works so well. And dating relationships are the same thing. If she's focused on sanctification, but I'm focused on her, it's going to be a relationship like this. And it's going to hit a point where I'm pulling her back from her destination, you know? And I think I hit that point at some point in my life thinking, man, this is not going to work. It's never going to work, because they're either finding that in me or I'm finding that in them. And that's ultimately where all those relationships would just come to a head.
Yeah. But I think that wraps it up pretty good. So I think we should end here, and then we can have more for next time. If you really enjoyed this topic, let us know. Again, there's a lot of things we would love to hear about in the comments. Your thoughts on dating, your thoughts on what you'd like us to talk about, and if you really enjoyed this. If you did, let us know in the comments, and let us know if you want us to continue this topic on Friday or Saturday, because we would love to expound on what God's shown us and talk to you about what God's shown you and just share information together. I love that. I know Tim loves that. So we love that.
Yeah, and also if you are in a situation right now where you're finding yourself asking, why does dating work for others, not me? You're having a hard heart about it. Your perspective, you know if your perspective is messed up about it. If you're in a bad relationship, let us know. We'd love to have you as a guest on our show and talk it out. Because much like us, we put ourselves on display because, well, I mean, we don't really have anything to hide. Because when you hide those things and you work with them on your own, you can only go so far. There's a statistic. I was doing some life coaching stuff the other day. Reading research. And it said that training by yourself, you're 22.7% more effective than normal. But training with other people, a coach, somebody that has your welfare at the forefront of their minds, people are 83.7% more effective.
Which is a huge jump.
Yeah. But you can't do that if you don't know what
you're striving towards.
Yeah, but we'd love to help. So if you're in that boat and you'd love to be a guest, let us know. thoughtraid@gmail.com, or just send us a private message.
So yeah. And with that said, make sure to also like and subscribe, because again, and hit the bell notification, because that's when you'll know when we're going to go live next, and we'd love to have you on and joining and talking to us. So, with all that said, hit that white. There we go. I want to thank you guys for watching. We broadcast every week on Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be going live again this Friday at 7, and we'd love to see you there for that.
I can see far away from where I've been. He says I see a potential. I see a potential in my eyes. I see a potential. I never lost sight of the reason why you're alive. You're alive. You're alive. We sing Jesus.